Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, and our show today is Secrets to Timeless Beauty. And we are going to be exploring open relationships and the institution of marriage. Is it still alive? Joining me today is my friend and co-host. She is in Dubai. Her name is Katrina Valente, and she is a holistic therapist, esthetician, facialist, and coach, and so much more. Let's welcome her. Hi there.
Hi.
How are things in Dubai today?
Well, things in Dubai are hotting up. It's getting a little bit warmer now.
Well, I have heard so many great things about that wonderful country you're in, and I want to come and visit. So keep things open and send out that positive energy to get me there.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll come at some point.
Definitely, we'll broadcast together. Well, this is a hot topic that we're going to be discussing today. And before we delve into it, I want to spotlight you. We have 2 new radio channels that are international. We've got a whole new audience. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell people who you are and what it is that you do, how you can help them.
So I've been a holistic esthetician for 28 years. I have traveled around the world as an international anti-aging expert and holistic practitioner for the last 15 years. And I've lived in Dubai for 24 years on the 28th of this month. And I always kind of look at the whole mind, body, spirit of a person. And over the last few years, I've been doing a lot more coaching and healing and tarot card reading work.
Fantastic. And how can people work with you? Can you work with people from anywhere in the world?
Yeah, I work online, so you can find me on my website, katrinavalente.com. I'm on Instagram every day, Katrina Valente #1, and Facebook, also just my name.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, Katrina, we were going back and forth over the weekend about what topics we could discuss that would bring value. And this one really resonated with both of us. And as you know, I'm not in a relationship, so my relationship is very open. Opportunities are open, I should say. So when you think about an open relationship, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think open relationship means that you can have other sexual partners, and but it's all done very much above board. It's discussed between the partners, between your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend, and it's something that you both have to agree on.
And that means that you have to be able, I would think, to trust one another and be okay with the fact that you're not the only one.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not something that I've personally experienced myself, but it's a topic that I've studied a lot on. And, I think the more open and free you are allowed to be in a relationship, the more committed you become. And I think, this is the big thing in life, we're all indoctrinated to be a certain way in relationship, act a certain way in relationship. But if you're allowed the freedom to choose universally anything that you want, that's going to be for your highest good, then I think that keeps you more close to home in a way,
Well, what about the old emotion of jealousy?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think, we're moving into a new world where I think the institution of marriage is fast becoming obsolete. And people are taking a much more open approach to relationship and what that means. I personally don't think you can be with someone forever and ever, amen, for the rest of your life. I think as we grow and evolve, different partners come along the way to teach you the lessons you have to learn. The only way you're going to stay together is if you grow together. And I think that's very rare.
Good point that you're making there. But now, what about children? When you have children together, what about when you've built a financial empire together, or you have finances together? That's where things start to get a little bit sticky.
Yeah, true. And I think, you can still have a successful relationship and stay together and still have different sexual partners. I think that could work very well. I mean, I'm talking much more in long-term relationships where you've been together, 8, 10, 15 years. I think it's very, very difficult to sustain that real, sexual excitement in your relationship.
Well, we do know that in certain cultures, there is the acceptance of having more than one partner or more than one wife, for example. And each
Well,
person,
here in Dubai.
yes, and each person knows where the boundaries are and what their role is. So when you think about being part of a collective, I'm going to just use air quotes, it really has to be for the right person for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not for everyone, but I think the more open-minded you can be, the more spiritually connected you can be, the more emotionally intelligent you can be, then I think it makes quite a lot of sense, actually.
And when we think about these open relationships or being part of it, how does that affect our timeless beauty, do you think?
Well, I mean, the fountain of youth is I mean, we can take it one step further and talk about Tantra. And Tantra is a spiritual connection, a sexual connection, a heightened experience, um, in a loving way that honors your partner, that you are respecting the soul that they are as they should respect you. So it takes sex to a whole other level. And then I think people can be more open-minded about having different sexual partners.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, one thing I want to talk about, especially here on this platform, we talk a lot on our various shows about mental health awareness, about longevity, about doing the right things for your body so that you age well and you have great health. When we think about the aging process, I would say up until, I don't know the exact date, but at some period in time, it was acceptable and even encouraged for you to have a mate or a sexual partner as you get into your 70s, 80s, etc., because it keeps you young and it keeps life enjoyable. So when we think about longevity in that regard and timeless beauty, it might make sense to be able to be part of an open relationship and keep experiencing new people and new opportunities.
I mean, look, if you look at the animal kingdom, what animals stay together after they've mated? I think it's only penguins and swans. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, we are not meant to be with one sexual partner forever and ever. Amen. I really firmly believe that as humans. And you need the experience of different connections, rather than being with the same person for so many years.
Thank you for sharing that about the animal kingdom. I wasn't aware of that, so that would be great if someone could check that for us. Penguins and swans?
Swans, yeah.
Swans stay together after they mate. Okay, if anybody wants to check and put it in the comments, that would be lovely. Okay, so let's say that you were interested in being part of an open relationship. What kind of boundaries would you set?
You know, I mean, for me personally, I want to be totally in love with one person and give them my all, and they give me their all. And I think in a committed relationship, this is where Tantra can really come in useful, to expand your connection to each other, to deepen it, to have bigger sexual experiences. But, you know, say you're together 10, 15 years and, you know, you're a bit bored with sex, it's not fulfilling you like it used to. And I think you have to have total honesty, total trust. There has to be certain things that you'd put in place that you would agree to with your partner, about who you would choose, how you would go about it, how, you know, do you speak to them outside of the meeting and all of this. I think there has to be a lot of things discussed.
I agree with you. And you mentioned that 4-letter word, love. And how does one deal with this? Hey, sweetheart, I really love you, but sexually, I find you to be very boring, and I'm going to go have a little tete-a-tete with Jim over here. And how do you feel about that? So I can imagine not always going over too well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, this is where emotional intelligence comes in. And, you know, sex and love are two different things. You know, you can love someone dearly and they just can't fulfill you sexually, you know. But I think this is where Tantra helps, because it helps you understand what your turn-ons are, what you like, what you don't like, and to understand your partner. And then I think if you have that kind of connection, then you stand a chance of being together exclusively.
So what I'm hearing is that in order to make an open relationship work, based on what you're sharing, these boundaries and these conversations have to take place from the very beginning. So if you're,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I
if
mean,
you're all,
communication is everything in a relationship anyway. But I think the more honest you can be with your partner, then I think you stand a good chance of staying together.
I would agree, except I think once you're already in a relationship with someone and you still love them, but you don't find them desirable in that way, and you want to look outside the relationship, that's where emotions can run high and jealousy can rear its ugly head. And maybe it's going to be a challenge, and the relationship is not going to hold up or endure.
But there's so much of it going on um, in the world at the moment. You know, you have these swingers clubs where they do wife swapping, and it's all consensual and it's all agreed to beforehand and all of this kind of thing. So, I mean, it does go on. It's just not spoken about.
It's very true. I have to laugh because when I was in New Jersey, and this was right before the pandemic, someone was telling me about these swapping clubs and groups. I never heard anything about it, and it turns out that it was right in the town where I lived. That people would go to these functions, and you put your car keys in a basket, and someone picks the keys, and whoever that is, that's who you go with. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've been living under a rock. But to your point, it's been going on for a long time, and it's just not spoken of.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I've not experienced any of it myself, but I have heard a lot about it from other people. I mean, there's one couple that I know that were married for 14 years, and she decided she liked women, but within the context of their relationship in the bedroom, and he always had to be present. And that opened up their relationship and deepened their connection to each other. And they started on a whole other journey together. So I think if it's approached the right way, and if you love someone enough to do whatever it takes to give them what they want, then I think it can work.
And to what you just shared, I've heard of something similar. And in each case, the initial relationship did not work out because the one person ended up having feelings for the third person, and it became a complete mess. So I can think of maybe 4 or 5 situations, and all the relationships and marriages broke up.
I mean, I think it has to take a definite certain kind of mindset. But if you love someone unconditionally, I think you will do whatever it takes to make that person happy. And I believe in divine and perfect timing. And if that person's meant to meet someone else, then they will. You know, I think the problem comes from when we want to put limitation on our partner. You can do this, you can't do that. If you give someone total freedom to make their own choices, then you'll find they will stay a lot closer to home.
I agree with that. So now I'm going to play devil's advocate on the other side. So I mentioned this before. What if you have children? What do you say to the children? Oh, mommy's going out with someone else tonight, or guess who's coming to dinner with daddy and I? I mean, how does that?
Well, I mean, you could keep it. Well, I mean, you could keep it. They're just a friend. The kids don't have to know anything. It's none of their business. You know, I think you have to keep your sex life separate from your children. I mean, it's 2 totally different ballparks.
And again, going back to the topic of this show, secrets to timeless beauty. Your point is that if we have an open relationship, and if we're able to satisfy our needs and find our joy and our passion, that we're going to live a healthier, longer life.
Well, nothing is more euphoric than great sex. Right?
Yes, I agree with you. And
so, I mean, when you have an orgasm, it releases all kinds of endorphins in the body. You know, you often see your girlfriends, you say, oh, what have you been up to? You know, and they've had a great time with their husband or their boyfriend. I mean, your skin glows, you feel alive, you know, you feel happy. I mean, it's an amazing anti-aging tool to be able to do on a regular basis.
So now what if you just take things into your own hands and self-satisfy? How about that as an alternative?
Yeah, I mean, that's also very much female empowerment. It's the feminine energy. Self-pleasure is very important. To know your own body is very important. And I think if you know your own body, your partner stands a much better chance of satisfying you.
And I think also, at least from what I've heard in the past, is that even the pleasuring of yourself is something that has to be discussed with your partner, because sometimes there's a lot of jealousy about that. Oh, I'm not enough for you, or I don't satisfy you. What are your thoughts about that, and what you've heard?
I don't know. I've not really heard anything like that. I think men really love to see a woman pleasuring herself if it's in front of them, you know.
Oh yeah, if it's in front of them, yes. But if it's not in front of them, then that's another story. You know, why can't you wait for me, so to speak?
Yeah. Okay. So then it has to be discussed, you know. It's all about communication. You know, sex is such a taboo subject, and I think we're coming into the new age where it is more open. There are much more free thinking around it. And, you know, it is slowly creeping into the mainstream and being talked about a little bit more. Because people are so suppressed on so many levels when it comes to that topic. And it's just the lives we've lived. We've been indoctrinated. Women have been told you've got to be a good girl. Men are told they have to be studs. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is. We've talked about that on some other shows as well. But when we look at the institution of marriage, marriage is not just about having sex, right? You don't have to get married to have sex. So why is it that we're even discussing, is the institution of marriage basically falling apart, and people are not interested in making that type of commitment when there's so many other aspects to marriage aside from that? In fact, I remember, and I shared this once, the mother of a boyfriend that I had, she said, oh, you two have a great sex life. Well, what are you going to do for the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of the day? So that's my point. When it comes to marriage, there's so many other reasons to have two people wed and then to spend the rest of their lives together. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have a reason why you want to get married, if you want to have children. But I'm telling you one thing, if you're not having good sex, your marriage is not going to last, or you're not going to be fulfilled in that marriage. You know, people say sex isn't everything, but it's damn well in the top three most important things to keep a relationship together and thriving.
Now, what about as people get older, they don't have the desire for sex like they used to?
Well, then, that's different. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've got cousins in their late 60s, and she's been with her husband 30 odd years, and they still have regular sex and they get on great and they're madly in love. And they've been together over 30 years. So I
So,
think it is possible, it depends what each of you want out of your life and out of a relationship.
and you don't have to be married to have children.
No, you don't. You don't. But a lot of women want that delusional security of getting married because they have children. They think that's going to give them security. The only person that's going to give you security is yourself.
Which brings us to the topic of how you work with people for them to find self-love and inner peace. Can you talk more about that? What does an engagement with you look like?
Well, they have to come to me with a problem in their relationship or with their health or career or money. And then I have a modality that I clear their energy bodies. You have 8 different energy bodies, 6 different levels of consciousness, and all your past lives. So I'm working on about 40 charts, and I have a pendulum. So it is a little bit esoteric, but it's basically just realigning the energy field in order for you to move forward successfully. So then, most of the um, people that I work with, the majority is about relationship. So then that leads into other aspects of their relationship. And, it ends up being coaching sessions. I use the tarot as well to give them advice. And that's another modality that I use that can be quite useful and enlightening for the individual. It's all about helping them come to their own self-realization about what they want and what they can do to attain that.
And how does this actually change the way they view themselves or the way they feel in their own body?
It gives them a different perspective. It's a cloud that they're carrying that I'm able to help them see the light through that, see light at the end of, the dark end of the dark tunnel.
And you mentioned 8 energy bodies. Can you share a little bit more about what is an energy body?
Well, it's the aura. So, we all have an aura. It's like when you first meet someone, you either like them or dislike them. It's an energy that we all give off. So we actually have 8 different energy bodies. We have the physical, the etheric, the oh my gosh, I'm getting a mind block at the moment. There's the etheric, the physical, the casual, the spiritual. I can't think right now. Anyway, there's 8. There's 8. And you've got 6 different levels of consciousness. You've got the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind, critical filters, front lobe, conscious mind. So you have things that are stuck in all these different energy bodies on a subconscious level, because we work from the subconscious. We are 90% driven by our subconscious mind. That's things that we are not consciously aware of. So it's not what you know to be true, what you're aware of. It's what you're not aware of that is actually the driving force in your life. So what this modality does is it uncovers that. It's a modality that's not really meant to be understood fully, because we're working through so so many different energy bodies, so many different past lives. So we don't know where it's coming from. But I also clear negative energy that's attached to your aura. So we all have negative entities that are living off our aura. So lower vibrational beings that are attached to our aura, and they deplete us in some way or another. So the first chart that I work with is to clear the negative energies attached to your auric field. Devil energy, spirit possession, hidden entities, curses, psychic attack, black magic even. So, and you know, whether you believe it or not, they are a real thing. I mean, we are all energy. You know, the furniture is energy, the water is energy, your hair is energy. I mean, everything is different molecules that are all made up to vibrate to create a certain thing, whether it's wood or hair or silk or whatever. So, you know, if you really break it down, it's not that difficult.
So are these lower energy bodies, these negative energy bodies, are these things that we pick up ourselves through choices that we've made, or they're just here from
Yeah, I
past
mean,
lives?
it's when you're interacting with people on a daily basis. You know, how many times have you been into a shopping mall or a place where there's a lot of people and you feel completely drained? It's because there's too many energies interacting around you and draining your energy. And definitely healers or people that are working in the field cannot be in large crowds of people in closed environments because it just fatigues you very quickly. So that's one example. But if you're interacting with people that are lower vibrational than you are, then they take your energy in some way or another and dump their negativity on you. You know, you've heard of energy vampires. So people that you've been with, and then when you leave them, you feel completely drained. That is an energy vampire. We've all had them, we've all experienced them. We all have friends like that. So what this modality does is it helps to clear that, to help you feel lighter, to get rid of emotions that might not be yours. You know, you may wake up one day and feel really anxious or very angry, and you really don't know why. And it's usually because that is not your energy. You're picking up on someone else's energy. So, yeah.
When you're doing a clearing for someone, is this a repeat process or something that you need to do on a regular basis?
The first time is always the toughest, the longest. I mean, it works like any coaching or counseling session. You'll need 2 or 3 to work on one subject, and then we can leave it for a while, and then you can move on if you want to work on something else, you know. But ultimately, you know, you've got to do the work as well. It's not all down to me.
Yes, that you are there as a facilitator, as the person leading us through this process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we come to the end of our show, what would you like to leave our audience with in terms of considering an open relationship? Are you promoting open relationships? What's your stand on it?
I'm not promoting it as such because I've never been in one myself. But I just think for people in long-term relationships that don't want to leave the relationship, but they're a little bit bored, a little bit unsatisfied with one area of their life, then it is worth exploring if you can be totally honest with each other. You tell each other what you like, what you don't like, what you're willing to accept, what you're not willing to accept. I think it's an area that could be explored and be very successful, which actually brings the couple closer together.
And so one final point, you had mentioned that in Dubai, this is something that's pretty much just well known.
In Dubai, it's
So in other words, in Dubai, open relationships are pretty much the norm.
I wouldn't say that, Dr. Jacalyn, but that you know, they do have, you know, clubs here like anywhere else in the world. It's just never spoken about, and it's only through people that you know that you would find out about them. But I know that they do exist.
Okay, I've got to get out from behind this green screen more often. Well, Katrina, another great show. I'm going to spotlight you. And if you could just share again, we have new audiences listening on the radios around the world, plus the television platform. How can people reach out to you, and what are the services that you offer for them?
Okay, so I have a website, valente.kat. I'm doing in Dubai hands-on therapy. I'm still doing facials. I'm doing realignment, massage, lymphatic drainage massage, healings, the clearings, and the tarot readings. And you can do online work with me as well. So I'm also on Instagram, Katrina Valente, and the number 1, and Facebook.
And you've got something special coming up. You're going to be traveling, right?
I am traveling on Sunday to the Maldives for 1 month as a visiting practitioner. So I'll be there offering my services in Suniva Gianni.
And it looked like you had a fabulous room and beautiful property that the last time, which wasn't that long ago. When was that? December?
I was there in December, January, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So will you be able to broadcast from there?
I will be, yes.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you again for being here and exploring this topic of open relationships with me. Not you with me, but us discussing it.
Always a pleasure, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thanks for staying late. I know it's much later there than it is here, so appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to all of our new audiences listening on the radio and to our loyal followers. We really do appreciate it. We will be back at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 9 p.m. British Summer Time, for our next show, which is Leadership of the Heart. And in the interim, I am working diligently with my book coach, finishing out the editing for my second book, Adversity to Awesome, which we have an official live book launch party event, which is coming up on the 4th of May. I'm going to show you my book cover. And this book is a compilation of 12 chapters. I have a chapter, and then there are 11 authors who have their own chapter. And we share stories of inspiration and how we've had a journey of adversity, and now we're into our stage of awesomeness. So I hope you can join us for that. That is 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 8 p.m. British Summer Time on May the 4th. And I announced last night I'm starting my third book, which is going to be part of a series of listening books for children. And I'm partnering with Mariska Duprier, who is one of our team members here. So you can learn more over on my Facebook pages, Jacalyn KERBECK, Dr. Jacalyn, USA Global TV. And if you would like to be an animal character in one of our upcoming books, please do go ahead and apply for the casting call. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you again this afternoon or this evening or this morning, wherever you are. Bye.